Yeah, I give it a start. We have one more person here, David from Miralis. Good to have you here.
Hi, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I give it a short start again. Yeah, very warm welcome. I guess everybody knows who these persons are. And then we also, as said, have David here from Miralis, and we have Robert here as well. Good that you are here. Yeah, welcome to the second call, the OCN Developer Community Call. We have, again, 1 hour. Let's see whether we can fill it completely. Yeah, we have planned 3 major topics, quick network updates from my side. Then I will hand over again to John, leading us through the current status of development and yeah, what is there in terms of proposals and issues and all that kind of stuff. And then we have a quick Q&A. Yeah, again, yeah, we are the Share&Charge Foundation, non-profit in Switzerland, a non-profit foundation in Switzerland, yeah, and focused on building this yeah, open charging network, which is a decentralized implementation of the OCPI hub concept that you can see here. And yeah, we use those developer calls to align with the whole community development team. And yeah, we have a wiki that is online that you can find on docs.openchargingnetwork.org that you can check out also throughout the call if you because we will reference make some references here and there. And then also, of course, the repositories on the code.openchargingnetwork.org. What is currently ongoing, or like how the OCN is developing, we have so far now 9 OCN nodes that are registered at the registry. Yeah, Adam, you from the NNU website, you added some this or last week, right? And yeah, also got some more registered parties at the registry. So it's slowly getting more and more, which is nice. And yeah, again, another, yeah, I would just quickly want to point to the matchmaking that we can facilitate. Like if you want to connect to another party, test to another party, then just drop us an email to partners@shareandcharge.com, and then we can help you with finding a partner to test with. Yeah, then over to John already. I tried to keep it short, my short business part. John, do you want to quickly talk about the architecture? I guess it's most interesting for David. I guess the rest already knows what we're talking about.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Yes, hello again. I'm John Henderson. I'm a developer with the Share&Charge Foundation, and I'll be going through the rest of the call here. So as Chris said, this slide shows the OCN architecture. Just to quickly touch on the components for David and anyone else who's listening and is curious, and to help others follow the rest of the call. The key components in the OCN are the OCN node and the OCN registry. The registry is what allows parties to register and then be looked up by the OCN node. And those components, the core components, are supported by the OCN notary, which allows for message signing and verification. And then we have an OCN bridge project, which allows parties which don't yet have an OCPI 2.2 API to connect to the OCN. And then we have the OCN demo, which is a tutorial, which I'll be mentioning later in the call. Just a quick overview there of the OCN architecture. Now, with that, I'll share my screen to go over the proposals and the open and new issues that we have planned.
I need to stop share, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so. All right, let me know when you can see it here. So starting with, actually prior to getting to the proposals, I'd like to go through just a quick review of the collaboration guidelines. We made a quick update to the pull request section, and I think it'd be good to go over the guidelines so that folks who are looking to contribute can quickly get up to speed.
Quick around, is it me? Is it my internet connection, or is John having a little bit troubles with the internet?
It seems to be your internet. I can see it fine.
Okay, yeah, okay, then it's mine. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, let me know if it's slowing down. So I was going to mention on the open source development guidelines that we have the issues list, which we used quite a bit in the last call, but that has been updated. So if you're looking to contribute or to see the issues across all of our repositories, we have this page here, which can be found in our documentation. We've added a filter here, so that hopefully should let folks who want to contribute quickly find new issues. As I mentioned, we also added a note regarding the pull request. When initiating a pull request, please do so from the fork of the repository that you want to update. If you're using the Bitbucket UI, that's how it's possible to use the pull request. And then the last thing I wanted to mention regarding the contribution guidelines was just reminding that all the commits need to be signed so that that the certificate of origin is certified, and we know who has made a particular commit, and they agree to the certificate of origin. All right, so with that, let's move now to the proposals. So the one that we identified to discuss was this separate identity from signer, and if there's any other proposals that folks would like to discuss, we can certainly discuss those as well. But I'll start with this separate identity from signer item. I just wanted to touch on this one to give an overview of it. We have mentioned it previously, but the idea is to separate the identity of a party from the keys that it uses to sign requests. As far as the Share&Charge developers are concerned, there hasn't been much progress on this item, but I wanted to check in, Adam and Mika, and see if you've had any time to think about this further.
Yeah, so short answer, no. But yeah, we've been sort of discussing internally how we can make the OCN more secure. And one of the things that the Energy Web is working on is a key management solution, wherein you could include this key manager SDK in your application, which allows you to get access via maybe an access token in the same way that you might use an access token from AWS for specific user roles, or Cloudflare, something like this. And it would grant you access to your keys, which you could then use to sign messages, for example, in the OCN, or sign transactions. And the nice thing is that if your access token is compromised, you still you could revoke the token, and you could generate then a new one, which is not compromised. So this issue yeah, we thought initially like the registry smart contract could have an additional field where the OCPI party then declares a new signer key, or so that it would not be a breaking change, you could have an additional smart contract which holds these keys, but I guess we're going a different route now. So we're looking at using this key manager to provide a more secure environment for signing OCPI messages.
I see. So it's a similar idea of separating the identity from the keys, but it's using the key manager to store the keys. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, in this scenario, the key manager could store multiple keys. You could have a key that manages your identity and a key that signs OCPI messages. Or you could manage the same key for both using this key manager. But either way, it's like a step to a more secure open charging network, I guess.
So here, should you also depend on the cloud services for this? Like as you mentioned that for the Cloudflare and the AWS?
Sorry?
So for this key manager token things, should we also have to depend on the cloud service like Cloudflare or the Amazon?
No, I mean, it might, I guess it's a decentralized solution. So the key manager is also decentralized. It's backed by a secret store. And there are various nodes which can run the secret store. And the secret store actually holds the access to the private keys. So you're not anymore storing the private key on your server, but you're interacting with the key via this key manager, and it's speaking to a secret store. So a node on the from the secret store cluster. So, I mean, long story short, we have not, I guess, pursued this particular idea for managing the private keys, but we're looking at a different solution now.
I see. So the list of parties would still be maintained in the registry, but the keys corresponding to a party would then be in this separate piece of infrastructure is your implementation idea.
Yeah, I mean, this feeds into like questions about what the identity actually is, and
right.
Longer term, we're looking then at decentralized identities, which is a standard created by W3C, and
right.
This would be something we're like coming up with a proper proposal for that we could be in a position to share with you over the next few weeks or months.
I see. Yeah, I think in the previous call that this issue had been perhaps a step towards that decentralized identity change, but it sounds like it may be easier to do it in concert with the decentralized identity change also to this different key structure. I see.
But to separating identity from the signer, I mean, is not tightly linked with any implementation choices. It just means that you can register using your hardware wallet that holds all your crypto assets, and then add a separate signing key that you can store with your server. And if it gets compromised, you can replace it. Whereas today, if your key gets compromised, you have to re-register.
Right. Okay, thanks for that update of this issue from your perspective, Adam and Mika. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, like from my side, as far as I understood now, like we in terms of looking into the on the roadmap and next releases and stuff, to me that sounds like a very good thing, like from a security perspective, and also long term being interoperable with other solutions and implementing advanced use cases on top of it. But for the version 1.1, we should maybe not consider it, right? Because it needs more work basically, right? Also to also link it with what you do on the identity level, and then we just keep it as a proposal for now basically, right? And
I mean there's stages to getting to that point, and obviously, like as I mentioned before, you could potentially have a separate smart contract where this information is stored, and therefore, you wouldn't need a version 2 to release that. You could include it in, I don't know, 1.2, or if it's not ready for 1.1. So that option is still there, and it's still valid, but it's also just a proposal. So there's no design of this new smart contract yet in place.
Yeah, and how it is currently implemented in the OCN registry, and how the CPOs and EMSPs can currently create their OCN identity, I guess is fine. It would just be better to then move to this advanced or the standard decentralized identity implementation. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that proposal for sure. Yeah, it's really something that will be helpful in the long term. Yeah. But then we just park it, John, for now, and first focus on getting the other stuff for the 1.1 ready, basically, and after that come back, and then also I guess Adam and Mika had more time, preparing that or coming up with a first proposal.
Right. Yeah. Something to revisit in the coming weeks. Okay. Any other proposals that folks wanted to discuss prior to moving on to the open and new issues? We can always come back to it later too in the Q&A. Not to worry. I'll move on then to. Oh, go ahead.
One question. Generally, proposals then would be proposed through Bitbucket issues, right? Still. I mean, that's
for now.
That's the channel.
Yes, for now, that's the channel. I mean, of course, there's the Slack channel where we could have other discussions, but I think in terms of a more formal channel, I think a Bitbucket, from my perspective, is a good place to continue.
Okay.
Yeah, and also to have it all then at one place. Like if you would propose something through Slack, then at some point we would just create the Bitbucket issue, just to have it there so that everybody can see it. And what we did in preparation for this call, we went through the repositories and the issues and put them then down into this agenda, basically. So if you have proposals, feel free to add them to Bitbucket.
Okay.
Okay, I'll then move to talking about these open issues that we have listed. As I mentioned, if there's other issues that folks want to discuss, we can get to those as time allows as well. So this next issue here, oh, sorry about that, is an open issue that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks. It's to update the OCN tutorial to include a billing service. The flow is that we're going to have the CPO, which is sending a charge detail record to an EMSP after a charging session, be forwarded to this billing service, and then the billing service will be able to then bill the EMSP via a custom module. So yeah, I've been working on this for the past couple of weeks, and it's been a good set of work in terms of finding some other improvements that we're able to make to the OCN prior to getting 1.1 out to production. Some updates regarding the way that we were wording the different permissions. There's another open issue to just confirm that wording and update the documentation, but just a note that the permissions need to be sent to the particular, need to be set based on the OCPI interface role, so that being the sender or receiver. Yeah, so this should be done. I have the flow complete. I just need to change the instructions and get clean up the code a little bit, but I'm hoping to have this out within the next couple of weeks. Anything that anyone else would like to add on this? Hopefully that's a good overview of where it's at.
Yeah,
Okay,
for me, it's just from a business side. Like I had a conversation with one payment service provider in the last week that actually wants to use that. So yeah, he's actually looking forward to this, to seeing this tutorial then, to understand how the service interface works and where that fulfills his requirements basically. So yeah, looking forward to that.
All right, good to hear.
Question for John. How did you find then the implementation of this service interface? Was it easy to use? Was it, did you discover things that didn't make sense, or would you have any improvements to build upon it?
Well, I think once the permissions, with the wording of the permissions, that the permissions map to a particular OCPI role, like a sender or receiver role, I think it was quite easy to use. We'll get to it maybe a little bit later, but the set service raw command, that needs to be fixed up, so that I ran into a bit of an issue there. But other than that, the overall idea, the business use case of the service interface was easy to understand and implement.
That's good.
Yeah, one comment also from my side, again to the service interface. It is implemented like that the header, right, is replaced, or originally the CPO is sending to the MSP, right, and in the two, the MSP is mentioned, and this is replaced then, right, with the third party,
Yeah.
that is definitely something that we need to highlight in documentation then.
Okay.
Because then if this third party is then receiving a CDR, for example, they might not, they need to find other methods for identifying the counterparty, basically, or for which it was originally for.
They in a way can, but it's maybe not so easy. The signature actually holds a reference to the previous recipient. So by searching the history of rewrites in the signature, you can see that the node changed the field. So the header, OCPI to country code and party ID in the request headers, and you can see that the original value that's stored in the signature object. But that's not clear, so definitely documentation could be updated, and perhaps the notary could be updated to provide more context.
Yeah, good idea.
That's a good point. It's a good idea, Adam. What do you mean by providing more context?
I mean, if you want to verify a signature, you receive a Boolean. Is it valid, the signature? And if it's not valid, you receive an error. But we could contain more data in this result. Like, here are the result. Here are the fields which were changed. It was rewritten by this node. Then you can, find out more information about the signature. Otherwise, you have to kind of dig into the signature object itself, and more feedback would be better.
Yeah, I'm wondering if another option could be to improve the API of the notary such that it's easier to
For
use
sure, yeah.
rewrite.
Yeah.
Right. I guess it's half dozen or 1/6 the other. Okay. Another issue that came out of my work on the 1.1 tutorial billing service update was this improvement to have custom module posts work with any valid JSON. So it's still open, but it's essentially resolved. The last thing to do is quite trivial. It's just to update the documentation to say that that any valid JSON is what is expected for custom OCPI module request bodies, because the node will enforce an application /JSON content type header. So that's something that I'll note in the documentation, and then we can close this one off. Anything else to add to this one? Oh, go ahead, Adam.
I'm not sure it's in the OCPI spec itself. Maybe it's a question to Robert. Do you foresee parties using like non-objects, so arrays or maybe simple JSON values as the request body in a custom module?
And we leave that completely open.
Yeah.
Let me think, because we are currently working on a custom module, but we're probably not going to do that over OCN. Currently, it's an object which we're sending over, and that object itself contains an array, but we're not putting the array directly in the body. So for us, not. But yeah, the OCPI specification doesn't limit you to this. And if people start doing custom stuff, I don't think it should be high on the priority list. I mean, these are custom modules, but yeah, it should be able to handle arrays or
Yeah.
don't think we specified primitive types as content of the body, but why not?
I just remember there was the issue
Yep.
in 2.1.1 where a certain command response type could be interpreted as just a string value. And yeah, this was the reason it brought to mind that, yeah, not only objects should be accepted.
Yeah, so it's good to be able to handle primitives, objects, and arrays. That's the best. But again, priorities. I don't think this is a. It really depends on. I mean, if this is a big group, big customer that wants to use this and the first one to go to production, then it's more important. But it's a custom module, so for me, I would say that's not that important. But it has to be able to handle it in the end. I at least I didn't think about using custom modules over OCN yet, so that's you're ahead of me.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that context, Robert. The current implementation accepts any valid JSON, including primitive types. So I think we're on the right path. The implementation of this bug, I mean. That covers the open issues that we have at the moment. There's a couple new issues that we wanted to highlight. A couple of them were recently created, so I thought that they would be good candidates for further discussion. The first one is being unable to verify rewrites if object keys are not in the same order. Quite an interesting bug. Yeah, I'll give a quick recap. The idea, as you can see from the test that Adam put here, is that if the fields in the body change order, then the signature or the notary verification result is invalid, which is incorrect. So Adam, you were suggesting that we should follow the OCPI spec to make sure that object properties are in the agreed upon order. So we should, my understanding there was that you're recommending that the OCPI, the order of the fields in the OCPI spec be enforced. Is that right?
Yeah, so this is typically not an issue if there is no modification of the message by the OCN node in transportation. But right. The issue arises when, so yeah, a party originally signs the message, they sign it in an arbitrary order. The OCN node resigns it, but yeah, the typing in the OCN node actually strictly follows the OCPI spec. I mean, there is no order in OCPI, but it right. follows the code basically. And this replaces the list of fields signed, I believe, so that when the recipient actually receives the message, they recreate the original signed values by the sender using the order used by the OCN node. So if they are different, then you are unable to actually recreate a hash of the signed values that was originally signed by the sender. So because the recipient has no way of actually knowing the order that these values were signed in originally, yeah, the recipient cannot verify the signature. So a solution for now is just that you make sure that the original sender of the message signs the message in the order specified by the OCPI spec, because this is what's used in the OCN node. And yeah, like a more forward-thinking solution, you'd need to somehow, well, you'd need to include a list of, an ordered list of the fields signed by the sender. So you include both of these fields lists, so the original and the rewritten by the node, and you include them both in the signature object. But the downside to this is that the signature object starts getting quite big, but I don't see any other way around it.
Right. So to clarify the impact of this bug, it can appear if the initial sender has the fields in the order that isn't specified in the OCPI spec, because the OCN node uses the order from the OCPI spec. But if
Exactly.
so, it's not right. But I suppose the OCPI. Oh, go ahead.
No. Just that the node or the notary library does not keep the original signed fields list. Or maybe, sorry, maybe it's the other way around, that it keeps the original signed field list. It does not replace them with the OCN nodes. So it's the OCN nodes modification to the signature which fails. But in any case, yeah, this means that the recipient who receives a message over the OCN that has been modified and the signature re-signed, or the message re-signed, is unable to verify that the signature is correct because of this bug. And yeah, this then causes integration issues between parties, and they have to track down why such an error occurred.
So right now it's kind of sender responsibility to follow the OCPI spec.
It's a workaround for now. I mean, by signing the values in the order that the OCPI spec lays out these class properties, then you would mitigate this issue, but it's not a long-term solution to it.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we should rely on the order in the OCPI spec. I think that's not.
No.
That's not a strict order. Could change. Okay. Thanks for explaining some more of the context, the impacts. Yep, something to prioritize. Okay, any other comments on this issue? If not, I'll move on to the next one. Which is the JVM notary library, still in the OCN notary, incorrectly handling base 10 exponents. I thought this one would be a good one to discuss because Adam, you marked it as a critical priority. as my understanding here is that it only occurs if the decimal numbers are at a greater precision than 4 decimals. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. So this is on the node side. The Jackson library automatically converts it to this scientific notation and uses that as a value to sign. This being different from the environment that actually signed the value, then yeah, the verification of the signature fails.
Is it only
sorry. I'm saying that is that only problem for the JVM, for the Java versions, or also for the Node versions?
Yeah, the Node.js version correctly handles it.
Okay. So it's only problem for the Java version.
So
does it only convert to sign? Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just gonna say that it only converts to scientific notation then when the exponent is -4 or greater. Is that why?
Yeah.
Is that -4 boundary here?
Yeah.
I see.
And there is a potential solution to this, which could be included in a minor patch. Which is, I saw there's an option you can pass to Jackson to tell it to not do this, but I have not tested it.
Okay. What was your thinking on it being a particularly critical bug?
I mean, it would prevent if such a number is included in any OCI message, it would be unable to be delivered.
Right. Well, the signature validation, you would get, I suppose, correct signatures or.
Well, the OCN node, because the OCN node also validates the signature, not only the recipient.
Right.
So it would not get past the OCN node.
Okay.
In the other case, the issue we discussed before, the message is still delivered to the recipient because it's the node that has the fault, or that's where the fault lies. In this case, it's, the node also has the fault, but it's happening when it's validating the message. And so the node fails to validate the signature in the message and returns an error to the sender.
I see. So it's a higher priority because the message isn't delivered at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's no workaround without then a patch to the OCN node.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Any other comments on this? Okay. In that case, I'll move us to our last new issue that we have on the agenda, which is quickly touching on the set service raw command. Right, so this one, it appears as though the signing or the in the contract, the hash calculation, not the signing, is perhaps different between the contract and the signing method. but it seems as though even when the signing method is the same, it is working. But we have done some more investigation into this, and it looks as though it's narrowed down to this hash in the contract.
Is the test done with Ganache or with a testnet?
Ganache.
The hash in Ganache is not the same as in the real. That there is an issue about that. I don't know if they fixed it. I had exactly the same issue 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So I guess they didn't fix it.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a very sexy thing to fix, and it's not an easy thing to fix either.
Okay, that's potentially a good thing to look into to see if it's a known issue with Ganache. All right, yeah, I just wanted to give an update on this issue. Like, we've made a bit of progress on the investigation. Okay, so that closes off the issues that we had listed in our agenda. I'll open it up to any Q&A if folks have other issues that they'd like to discuss or any other questions. We can talk about them now.
Sorry, I was just waiting for a bit of silence there. I didn't want to jump in front of anybody in case you had actual business. I'm very aware that I've sat here lurking for the past 50 minutes and haven't said anything. So I just wanted to introduce myself because it's sort of first time joining on the call and very interested to hear what you guys are saying about the OCN, just in relation to things that we're doing at the moment. So it's all very interesting. But I'll let you crack on with actual business. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, David. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for that introduction, David.
Maybe just a general question. Have you got like a release window planned then for the 1.1?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was directed.
Sorry.
I'll
So yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, from our side, like the current implementation of 1.1, how it is there currently, or in terms of features, I would say it's complete. We just need to get like another tutorial done, and then some of those bugs and issues that we've just discussed, and then I would give it out, I would say. Yeah, that's at least my opinion. And I guess we need to intensify the testing also a little bit, I guess. But yeah, John, what do you say?
Yeah, by window, do you mean kind of a release date, Adam, or do you mean more of like a downtime window?
I guess more specific than just end of this year. But I guess Chris already answered that. I mean, so it sounds very, very much close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like at least from my opinion, there's no feature to be added, and that I guess is the big part of it. I mean, we have this like this proposal still that a third party could change the white and blacklist of a party, but we could that is something that we could easily also implement in 1.2. Because it's currently only a proposal state, and I guess that would open up another bucket basically, or a bigger chunk of work that would then heavily delay 1.1. And I guess you guys definitely depend on 1.1, right? With your
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, but I mean the test network, yes, suffices like for. Yeah, probably. I'm not sure like when we would, or if we would move then to production at some point. But yeah, for now, test network is fine.
Yeah.
You know, I think everyone is already using this release candidate version of 1.1.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my perspective, the set service raw command bug that we just discussed is the main one to get resolved prior to going to production. Just in case there's any changes to the contract, I don't think it would make sense to push the contract and then have to update it again.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, that's the main one to fix. And then we also wanted to get the tutorial lined up so that we can have them released at the same time. So I wouldn't say we have a specific date yet, but as Chris is saying, the number of items to do prior to the release is quite small, so it should be relatively soon.
Yeah, in October, in the October newsletter, we just published this blog post a week ago about that was kind of the start of the introduction of the interface, the service interface. And in October, we will then release another blog post where we would then describe how the service interface works, with an example of the billing service. And that would then be the first time that we actually describe very, like, how to say, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, in a proper way, what the OCN service interface is actually about and what the benefits are and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I guess then more and more people will also have interest in it, and yeah, that's a good point in getting it out there. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions at this time?
I do actually have a question based on some of the things you guys have been talking about today. So just could I go back to the thing you were talking about, the signing of the requests and the key manager? And just a question that came to mind is, how often do you guys see key compromisation happening? You know, does it happen enough to warrant putting in implementing a solution for it?
Who wants to answer?
I guess. Well, go ahead.
Are you just sort of playing safe and making sure that you've got a system there to, ensure that keys are protected and
Yeah, it does come from that place, and there have been many stories of people being stupid with their keys and what have you. Obviously, like in a production grade system, you would hope that these keys are secure, but yeah, like it's better to be safe than sorry, and if there's a better way to do it, then I think we should do it.
Sure. Okay.
It's not only about the keys getting compromised, the keys could get lost.
Yeah.
If the server has a crash and you lose everything that is on the server, and obviously you don't want to put the private key in the backup because that is kind of insecure. So you have a crash, the disk melted, and you lost your key.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of the goals of this key manager is that you could deterministically recover your key. So you can log in with normal credentials, username, password, or email rather, or a hardware wallet, and using this secret store, which I like briefly discussed earlier, then you would be able to deterministically recreate the keys. But the key manager itself doesn't store the keys, it's this secret store underneath it.
Right. Yeah, sorry, I ask through naivety alone, really, just because we're at the stage where we're sort of making our way towards the end of the OCPI standard integration, and then once we hit that in our platform, we'll be then looking at, you know, OCN on top of that. Once we've hit that point, so it's just nice to have that information to hand for when we get to that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, David. Okay, well, I'm not hearing any other questions at this time, so I think that brings us to the end of our September OCN community call. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you again in October.
Yeah, one last thing from my side. The next call is on the 13th of October. We will publish the agenda again on the Confluence page, and yeah, looking forward to have you there as well.
Great. Right. Well, thanks, guys. It's been very informative.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.